see if we can get some people in here. Oh, I've got somebody. Hello, it's me, Dr. Plague. Thanks for coming in for our live. Just a little bit. Oh, well, I figured I'd have it to thank you guys for 2K. Figured if you guys had any questions or anything to ask, I'd stop in and oh, they left. Oh, back again. Oh, it's Crystal and Cox. Hi. I don't know. It's the first time I've done one of these since TikTok, so I'm not entirely sure what to do here. I started a little bit early, so hopefully some more people will come in to hang out. Can you hear me okay? Like it's all coming through all right, right? Well, of course. Gotta gotta be familiar with my names if I'm gonna write stuff. Oh well, thanks. I always just kind of used the earbud when I was on TikTok, so I don't know how it would translate onto here. I was kind of hoping probably the same. Oh, we got somebody else. Oh, they left again. Well, oh, there they are. What's up, Vincent? Well, didn't you guys have any questions about upcoming stories or anything, or any anything with like lore or anything? Like I'm open. Like Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I usually just lurk in these things too. I never usually like talk or anything. I don't know. Guess I should probably do something while I'm sitting here. I don't know. I don't know what people usually do during these things. I used to read stories, so I guess I could do that. I don't know. Oh yeah, the Stragview stuff is some of my favorite. Um, I w as many of you know, I worked in corrections. I've going on like 6 years now, so a lot of the Stragview stuff is made out of like my experience in prison. I guess it all had to account for something. I mean, the paychecks were good, but I guess I had to get something out of it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I lived in Georgia for a long while too. Well, like 5 or 6 years. I was up in North Georgia around Clayton. That's why that's where a lot of my like uh, love for North Georgia comes from. I miss it. I miss having seasons and things. Oh, here we go. Now we're starting to get some people in. Um, well, I guess I still am. I work for the jail, so it's the it's the same kind of certification. I'm trying to transition to something different now, maybe a little bit away from inmates. I don't know. I'm getting burnt out with the system. Oh, hardened men doesn't begin to describe some of these guys. some of these guys, some of these guys are soft as butter. Like I tell people all the time, anybody could do corrections. It's easy. Like once you've listened to one of these guys cry because his breakfast cakes are too small, it takes a lot of the fear out of it. Like it's just I get that you're in here for murdering 3 guys, but I watched you cry because your roommate was gay. Like, I can't take you seriously anymore. It's it's just one of those things. It's just something you get used to after a while. It's like any job, I guess. But no, like, I'm not one of those, like, big macho dudes that, like, yells at people all the time. I'm usually pretty chill, so I don't encounter a lot of the problems that a lot of other COs do. Like I'm a talker. I like to talk. So I usually talk to people and talk my way out of situations. Some of the Stragview stories are actually things that are based on things that are based on things inmates have told me actually. Like little stories, little bits here and there. Um it's not a bad job. Like I really can't complain. That's true. That's true. And a lot of COs, there's really not a lot of difference between us and the inmates. We just didn't get caught. But no, like I've always recommended to people like if you know your local corrections area is probably hurting. Like if you need a good job, don't be afraid to sign up. It is. It's definitely an eye-opening experience, especially going from like even like going from like the jail to the prison. Like the things they can do in the jail that they couldn't do in the prison is just it's baffling. Like it's I don't know how to describe it. I probably am not supposed to, but um, yeah, no, it's been a real change of pace. Like it's been a real like change of scenery, really. Like prison, you're always behind the fence. Like here, you feel like you're out in a little more in the public eye. But yeah, like a lot of that is what spawned all the Stragview stuff. I just working in that environment every day. I wrote stories about it. It's I don't know. I probably have to thank some of the older guys for that, like Mr. Creepypasta and Creeps McPasta, who really were integral in me getting into it. Like I listened to some of the stuff on their channels, and I was like, I could write this. I could definitely write this. And that's what I started doing. And then once they reached out to want to read it, I was kind of starstruck. That's the distinction. Like as long as you're not doing stuff bad enough to wind up in there, that's what it's all about. Oh, Dr. Creepin's cool too. He's someone I've stumbled across recently. Like I don't usually I don't usually charge for my stuff. I know a lot of narrators do. I don't. I The community's been very welcoming, and I like to support them and I like to watch them grow. And that's huge for me. To read my own stuff, but also to get cool guys like that to read it. It's really it's really good. Like I like it. A lot of them read a lot of books. Like it's the bigger the book, the better it seems like. I see a lot of Stephen King and George R. rolling around in there. Change myself. I'm I'm trying to transition to something a little closer to home, I think. Like I just 12-hour shifts are rough. I remember Lighthouse Horror too. Is he still updating? Like I haven't gone on his channel in a while. Maybe I should. He used to read some of my stories too back when I was first starting out. I think he might have been the first one to pay me for stories, come to think of it. The first one even offer, I was like, "You mean I can make money off of this?" Let's see. I don't think I've heard of Nature's Temper. I might have to go look at them. Dark Somnium, I've heard a little bit about. I think he's read some of my stuff too. Um, oh, who's this new guy? The Spooky Spotter is one I've been listening to a lot lately too. He he's got that deep southern twang that he reads in, and I love it. Like I love listening to his stuff. I've been trying to get him to read some of my grandpa stuff because I think he'd do a great job at it. Cool. I'm gonna have to go look in let's go look in on old Lighthouse and see what he's doing. He Like I said, he was one of the first ones to approach me and offer to pay me money for him. Oh yeah, all of Dark's yeah. E Spooky Spotter or Spooky Spoder or whatever Spooky Spot, Spauder or something like that. Like, he's a cool guy. Like, he's on my Twitter. Um, and I read some of his stuff too. Like, he's a good writer as well. I haven't heard of Vildith. I maybe I have. I don't know. I do a lot of looking on Reddit, so sometimes I'll just roll through and I'm like, "Hey, I like your story. Can I read it?" And that's really my only interaction with him most of the time. Yes, Dark Somnium's got some really good sound engineering equipment. He's definitely using better stuff than me. Where's those names? I might have to look him up. Oh, what's up, lady? Yeah, glad you could make it. This this lady right here, Lady Vengeance. Go look her up. She reads stuff really good, and she reads Madeline from my Killian stories. So she's a big friend of the show. Yeah, I not to throw shade. Oh, hey Matt, not to throw shade, but I really try to get away from the Dog Man and the Skinwalker stuff. I feel like it's been done, and I don't want to like bore you guys with the same old stuff. I kind of try to like look for other stuff to read, that way it's not just the same rehash of stuff. Yeah, yeah, Lighthouse is easy to binge. I definitely am guilty of that myself. You're right about that, Matt. Some of them I just, I'm like, man, how many different ways can you flip the dog, man? And skinwalkers too. I mean, they're they're cool and all, but like I feel like there's different stuff out there. Like we don't all have to go after like skinwalkers and Slender Man and all that kind of thing. I do try. Like I try to look at for some of the lesser known like regional creepy stuff. That way, I can maybe put a new spin on it. The Yule Lad stuff, that turned out really well. And I was one of the few ones that was doing it. I know there's another channel that does a lot of like urban legends and stuff. Something about a camp, but I cannot remember for the life of me what their name is. I'll have to get back with you guys. Like, I know they do a great job, though. Oh, yeah, the Yule ads were fun. Um, now I will admit, sometimes I do holiday stories, and every now and again, it's a little trend chasey, but I I try to keep it, I try to keep it something outside the norm. I really liked, it was a Valentine's story I did last year called "Milady" that, my wife actually did the voice of the female protagonist on, and it came out really good. I didn't see a lot of other people doing like horrific neckbeard stories, other than like Red X or the ones that are doing like the spoof neckbeard stuff, I think. Well, I mean, you know, I I know I know No Sleep hates it, but sometimes I like to try to delve into that like emotional horror as well because I don't think it gets enough love. I don't think people really want to like branch out. We're glad to have you, man. Vincent's been here for a long time too. A lot of you guys have. Like, I think most of the people I'm seeing in chat right now have been there since before I even had 1,000. Uh, Oh, you're gonna you're gonna like what I got going on Monday then. I gave you guys the option of 2 creepy stories, both of which are events that actually happened to me. And it looks like you guys have chosen one about a local oddity called the Martin House. So I think you're really gonna like it. It's a you can Google it, like, it's in Panama City. It's a spooky spot, like, especially after dark, and I think you guys are really gonna like the story. Um, I've had I don't know, I've had a lot of weird stuff happen sometimes, and it makes for great story material. Um, like, I'm not, like, inundated with spooky stuff, but, I definitely get my fair share of, creepy things that happen sometimes. And I like to write stories about them sometimes because they help me, kinda remember them, and I don't wanna forget that sort of thing. It's kinda what drove me towards horror a little bit. That and the creepypastas. Creepypasta. That's I mean, if some of you remember, like, my first story that I ever posted on Reddit was, the one about the creepypasta writer that's trying to stop writing creepypastas. Ooh, I bet you've got some stories then. I've talked to some people that were stationed up in Guam, and they said there's couple of my cousins also were in Nam, and they said they had some really creepy stories from up there. I may try to get them from them, before they croak. They're kind of older. Of course, yeah. It's hard not to, I guess. Like I think I'm up to I think I've lived in like 2 or 3 haunted houses. Like it's once you see a couple of things, it's hard not to be. I fell in with some pagans when I lived in Georgia too, and they were really into it. So I mean, like that story about the night in the woods with the cult that happened. Like that happened when I was living in Georgia. Um, we it hit a point where I was like, no, I'm done. I don't want to be part of this anymore. And I just went to my tent and waited for everything to kind of die down. Because I had really drank the Kool-Aid at the time. Like I was into crystals and like sigils and runes and stuff. And it was really creepy to see it all kind of like come out. And it was just it was an interesting time of my life. Like I did a lot of weird stuff when I was up in Georgia. Oh yeah. Like we had our own little we had our own little paranormal group, a couple of us, and we'd go to people's houses and do things. And they've got some really spooky mines up in Dahlonega that they say you can hear screams in the middle of the night. It's weird stuff. Um, I'm a little old for roaming around out Scooby Dooing in the woods anymore, but it's it's fun to remember. I used to be really big into tarot. I used to love me some tarot. Um, I've kind of fallen out of practice now, but I used to like to discern the cards. I used to do it on my front porch sometimes during Halloween, like just have kids roll up for trick or treat candy. It was fun. And dang, I didn't really think I'd pull down these kind of numbers. I'm glad you guys could join me. Um, if any of you are unaware, I got books. If you want books, I usually leave links in the videos to Amazon. I think we're up to like 5 or 6 now. I can't remember. Um, yeah, I really appreciate you guys coming out. It's really nice to see all of you coming out to ask questions and okay. This is the first one. This is an original cover. I did this actually. I mean, it looks crappy, but I that was my first one on Amazon. There's only 13 stories in there, but those were some of my those were some of my first ones. This is my second one. That's also an original cover. I've got updated covers for the other two, but you know, Dark Vortex. That one's got 30 in it. That was and I mean, some of you guys that have been around for a while, I do one a year. It's it was um it was 30 stories, but at this point I just I put however many stories I put in for a year there. Let's see. Oh, this is one of the ones I had done by a German fellow named Hellscythe. That's my third one. Dark Journeys. Um, he trades me stories for if he gets to read them exclusively in German. So like he trades me book covers for them, and it's a pretty good deal for me. Uh, creepy experiences are always kind of cool. I agree, lady. I agree. Like sometimes it's therapy for me. Like I like to write, and if I don't, I get kind of anxious. So I just keep writing. It's nice to have that kind of outlet too. Oh, I forgot my other one, my most recent one, but then I've got the Stragview one, um, Dark Incarceration. I'm actually working on the second one in that series. I don't think it's going to be out for a while, but just a continuation of the Stragview stories. Like if you guys had watched last week, like we kind of had like a mashup of the Laughing Audience and the Stragview stuff. They're all paperbacks. I haven't actually done any hardbacks yet. Amazon doesn't seem to like hardbacks. Like they really just want to make paperbacks. But I mean, they're all like glossy print and stuff. Um, Anyway, like we had kind of a mashup, and that's actually the ending of Dark Incarceration, what you heard last week. There's a little bit more from the writer in there, but it's snippets, like it's just little things in there. Um, I mean, it'll continue on probably in the next one, where we learn more about the writer and about Stragview. Let's see. I agree. I think Stragview should be a TV series. I've been kind of working on some screenplays, but so far, nobody's bit yet. I'm kind of hoping maybe Netflix is interested. Um, Honestly, I think they're better listened to. Um, but again, I think there's something to be said when the writer reads his own work. I grew up with a lot of Stephen King audiobooks that I listened to in the car, and I really liked hearing him read his own stories because I think he brought the right emphasis to the story because he knows where the emphasis ought to be. Uh, I got to update the playlist of them. It's it's mostly done. Like what I've got now is a mishmash of the first book and what will be the second book. Um, Stories like Old One Ear and The Warden's Grass will actually be in the second book. So there's a I've already kind of started on it. Plus, I mean, I've got like ton, just a ton of unattached short stories in a folder, like for like years and years. I'm kind of leaning away towards the fantasy. That's how I got my start. Sci-fi, I'm down to write some sci-fi. The fantasy community was just really not very welcoming, I guess. Like, which surprised me with horror, because given the subject matter, I expected horror wouldn't be either. But they've really impressed me. Like the horror community has been like very, very welcoming. Netflix is just hard to reach out to without an agent, apparently. Like they don't take unsolicited stuff. But Rick and Morty made it sound way easier than it was, I gotta tell you. Oh yeah. I've actually got a girl out in like the Midwest who's working on an updated screenplay for Mr. Gozo's game that she wants to shoot. So I'm kind of hoping that that comes together. That would be neat to have. I really liked the one about Lady Zuni. You're right. And you can thank the Lore podcast for that. He was doing Aaron Mankey. If you've never read him, he does an amazing Lore podcast. I think it's just called Lore. He was doing an episode about ballerinas and about what their costumes were made of and the threats to them that had happened to them. And I was thinking, it's like I could make a story with that. That would be because apparently their costumes were super flammable, and they had several of them go up during performances, and I was like, "Ah, that there's a story there. I could do something with that." Stephen R. Donaldson. I have not. Um, I'll have to put him on my list. Mostly if I'm reading horror, it's Stephen King. Like, I'm a huge Stephen King buff. Um, I've been thinking actually about doing some Western horror lately too. I love haute operas and, like, just, like, Louis L'Amour and, like, old Western stuff. My granddad was a big Western buff, and he really kinda, like, instilled in me a love of that sort of thing, and I think there's a lot of horror aspects that could work with a Western setting. The fantasy is a very tight-knit community, and I don't like to speak best worse of my peers, but sometimes they are a little pretentious. That you're constantly being compared to the greats, and it's like you can't, make your own niche because you're constantly, "Oh, that's such a Tolkien thing to do," or, "Oh, you're getting you're working some some George R. magic there." It's like, "No, no, this is my own thing. I'm doing my own thing here," but they never see that sometimes. I don't know. I was part of it for, like, 15 years, and it really kinda left a bad taste in my mouth. Well, Matt, if you say he's a great author too, I may have to read him. This guy's my compass here. Sometimes he kinda like, he reminds me if I'm getting too ahead of myself. Ooh. Oh, see, I liked The Talisman. That was one of my favorites. I thought it ended a little abruptly, but, like, I felt like he coulda done more with it. King even said he wanted to make 3 books out of it. He did not get the opportunity, and it cut off so quickly. I think he really should have done a lot more with it. Ooh, that's a good one too. Like, I read that one and I was like, "Man, the they got chops." Like, that's a good story. Like, you don't get a lot of that often, and they usually immediately get taken off of No Sleep. No Sleep does not like, emotional horror. Like, I don't know why. Um, that story, Final Thoughts, I'm sure a lot of you have read it. It's one of my favorites. Um, Immediately got taken off of No Sleep because they were like, "Nope, nope, no emotional horror. We can't have that." Ooh, a comic book out of the Talisman. I need to see that then. That was such a great book. Um, I almost expected, what was the main character's name in the Talisman? I almost expected him to make an appearance in some of the Gunslinger books, as as Stephen King is so fond of, like, merging his stuff together. I've thought about it. I've actually got a little something that I'm working on in that vein. It's not exactly the same, but it's close. I might adapt it into a book too. I've got a lot of book ideas, um, that I'm working on. I've actually got a story coming out kind of at the end of summer, which I think is fitting for the material that I'm probably going to adapt into a book. Oh, I hate that for it. It would have been a good series. Yeah, um, I don't know. I Stephen King's great. I love him. I love him to death. He's like he's he, he's how I got started. Like I picked up it way sooner than I should have. I picked up The Shining way sooner than I should have. But Stephen King has really been like my inspiration in a lot of ways. But I don't know any of you guys that have been around for a while. You know how apolitical I am. I'm not political in the least bit, and he's just gotten kind of political over the years, and I can't say as I like it. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I I hate it for Dean Koontz too. Like his stuff's good. It's not the same. Like Watchers. Watchers was probably my favorite Dean Koontz novel. And I liked it. It was a good story and it was told well, but like a lot of his later stuff, it's just it's it's straddling the line of, like, Michael Bay action films. Like, I don't know what he's going for, but it's less he's trying to be John Grisham, the John Grisham of horror at this point. Like, I don't understand it. Yes, yes, absolutely. Like, sometimes I just wanna look at Steve and I'm like, "Steve, my dude, my brother in Christ, you gotta stop." Like, it's just not okay. You need to stop. But I feel like he gets egged on a lot by the fans that are into that kind of thing. I just I don't know. I think he's gotten older and a lot of his bases have changed. I don't know with the artists. I've heard the name. I've never read their stuff though. Me either. I'm really Vincent. I'm really not a big fan of writers that lean into political views. Like that's not something you're ever going to get from me. I don't do politics. I don't do sports and I don't do politics. Like I feel like both are very divisive and I don't see the point. You know, everybody knows that the lizard people are going to pick who our next president is anyway. It doesn't do any good. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. But you know what I mean. No, I just I don't know. It's not my thing. I'm a writer, and above all, writers should write. If I wanted to do politics, I'd be a politician. You know, it's totally the lizard people. You're right. I'm looking at you, Mark Zuckerberg. I'm gonna have to check him out. I'm gonna have to put him on my Audible list. Because I mean, like, if I'm reading at this point, it's I'm listening to something on YouTube. Like I'm listening to. I was just listening to Blood Meridian the other day. I recently found it through a Wendigoon video, and I love it. Like it's just like peak Western horror. Like it's so good. Like if you've never read Blood Meridian, it's on a different level. Like it's just so good. I might have to check him out then. I love writers who do art. I like Goosebumps. Like I grew up with Goosebumps. A lot of the older stuff. Like I liked the TV show too. Like I was a kid around that. I was like 8 or 9 years old around that time. So that was right in my wheelhouse. Well, if I hope you guys like Kashmir because it's gonna play a big part in upcoming stories. Like there's definitely gonna be a lot more from that. Um it's it's definitely gonna be my new go-to. Yup, yup. TV show was pretty which did they have a TV show that I missed? Dang, I gotta look that up. I recently finished Sandman not too long ago, which I thought was a really good TV show. If any of you have watched it, the recent Dr. Winter story about the guy's uncle who traps a demon, you'll get big Sandman vibes out of that. It was good. I've always been a big fan of the Sandman series, and I thought they did it justice. Yeah, yeah. It's sometimes you're that weird kid in the back of class reading Dean Koontz, and then you grow up to write horror. I mean, that's just how it works. Like that's true. That's true. That's generally why I steer clear of it. I'm aware that certain aspects of the horror narration community are fraught with issues, and I try to be as non-problematic as possible. Like I I don't want to I want to don't want anybody that likes my stuff to feel comfortable there. Uh, I mean the book's always going to be better though. Like always. Like look at Game of Thrones. The book's always going to be better. Like it just cuz it happens in your head. Like you get to make the story. So it's always gonna be a little bit better. But you know, They got as close as they could, I guess. But I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. I'm always looking for good horror series to watch. Um, trying to remember what that movie was I watched the other night with the wife. The Black Phone. I I really liked The Black Phone. If you guys haven't watched it yet, it was very well done. And it really made me want to work on my screenplays more. Yes. Watch the movie first, so your expectations are low for reading the book. Absolutely. Yeah, about the kidnapped kids. It was such a good movie. Like, it was really well done. Um, I think we followed it up with Smile, which I also like. Some people had said they got big laughing audience vibes off of it, so I needed to see how pissed off I needed to be. Um, I was not. It was a good time. And then, of course, a couple of nights later, we watched that new Winnie the Pooh movie, Blood and Honey, which was just it was awful. Even the wife in the background's like, it was terrible. It was awful. It was hilarious though. Like it was if you want to laugh your ass off at a horror movie, Blood and Honey is the way to go. Like it's so cheesy. Like it's not $10 worth of good, but it was full of cheese. Like it was bad. Um, what's up, Joe? I liked I liked Smile. It was okay. It was good. I felt like it had some definite plot holes. Like I feel like maybe the script like maybe the script could have used another draft. Um, there were definitely some things I feel could have been fleshed out a little bit. It was fast. Like I feel like they could have really took their time. Oh God, don't get me started on Orson Scott Card. I was such a huge fan of the Ender series, and now like you can't even after what he said on Twitter and the movie, you can't even admit to that kind of thing anymore. But I loved the books. Like the books were great, but I just mm, I don't know. Um, somebody said it. I can't remember who it was, but writers should write. That's all they need to do. Football players play football. Politicians politic. Writers write. Oh God, yes, all the time. I love campy B horror movies. Some of it's that they're bad. That they're bad is good. Hereditary was deeply disturbing. I had watched one a few years ago. I can't remember what it was called. This lady like lives in a house with her husband, and people keep showing up. And it's at one point they take her baby, and it's deeply frustrating. It's a deeply frustrating movie, but it kept me on the edge of my seat. All right, Kiwi, I'm glad you could make it, man. I really appreciate you stopping by. Mother, yes, that's what Mother. Like it wasn't scary, scary, but it was like nervy scary. Um, yeah, Jennifer Lawrence was in it. Um, it reminded me of some of M Night Shyamalan's earlier stuff, where it's not really like scary, scary. It's just like psychologically scary. And like I remember the whole time, I'm like, they're gonna kill that baby. They're going to kill that baby. That baby's gonna die. And my wife's like, "Shut up! Don't say that." And then they did, but Dale Tucker versus Evil. It's it's such a supplementation of expectation. Like they just oh, Evil Dead 2 was great. Have you seen the TV show yet? Um, what's it called? Like the Ash versus Evil or something. It's pretty good too. Like I really man, I'll watch Bruce Campbell do just about anything. Like I love me some Bruce Campbell. But like it's a good show. It's a good time. Oh, sorry guys. It's been a long day. Shaun of the Dead was a good one too. I like George Romero anyway, so that one was right in my wheelhouse. I like watching zombie movies, I just don't like writing zombie stories, like, they fall into that area of, like, overdoneness, I guess. I'm like, "Meh." Oh, damn, man. Yeah, it's only, like, 9 here. Yes. Um, yes. Like, the he's toxic masculinity, but the toxic masculinity you like, he's Bruce Campbell, man, like, he just is what he is, like, you either love him or you hate him. Like, he's entertaining though, like, he is entertaining, I'll give him that. Oh, I don't know if any of you guys can see it, but if you didn't used to follow me on TikTok, this was my, like, Doctor Plague costume. I figured I'd break it out for you guys. It's mostly just a lot of buttons and stuff. Like, yeah, 20 28 days later was really like 28 days later and I Am Legend were kind of like peak like zombie fare that wasn't directed by George Romero. Like DayZ just kind of like I don't know, it ruined zombies for me. Like I really just I wasn't a fan. Like it was like, yeah, this it was there was too much going on. Like it was too busy. I don't know. Wasn't really my cup of tea. Yeah, yeah, World War Z. Daisy made me step back. Yeah, me too. Oh man, see, I do the same thing on TikTok that I do on YouTube. I just like cut it up into 3 minute stories. Um, yeah, the twist in World War Z was okay. Like it wasn't it wasn't unforeseen, but it was good. Like it was all right. Like it took me by surprise the first time I watched it, but in hindsight, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. See, I won't play DayZ for the same reason I won't play Rust. It's just like the the community is a hellscape. Um, Lady, what was the twist? I'm drawing a blank. Shit, like I remember in hindsight it was obvious, but like I hate when that happens. Like you're thinking of a thing and then you go to explain it and you're like, well, no, brain has shit the bed. Four kinds of zombies in the kind of, yeah. Like later Romero films, yeah, there were definitely like four kinds of zombies. Oh no, YouTube's up to 8 minutes now, or TikTok's up to 8 minutes now. I think they're better in little 3 minute slashes. Like it's easier to like it's just easier to take in, and it doesn't like mess with their attention spans. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Like they couldn't see you if you were terminally ill, which was a weird twist. But like in retrospect, like the movie like beat you over the head with it. Like on re like if you watched it a second time, it was like, okay, yeah, I see where they're going with it. Mhm. Mhm. And there was like a lady in the street with something else. Like there was like three or four occurrences, I think. I don't think I've ever played the game of the movie. Yes. Two sentence horror is extremely difficult though. Like I've tried it a few times and it's just mm, like it's really difficult. See, I'm too ADD. I'll pick a movie apart, especially if I like it. Like I'll pick it to pieces. I can't help it. It doesn't make for good YouTube content, unfortunately, but it is insanely hard to write. It's hard to make good. Oh, see, I like The Sixth Sense. That was some really tight Shyamalan writing there. I really liked that. Um, but you can never watch it a second time. Like, I mean, you can, but you know what's coming. It's like watching The Village. See, I'm no good at it. Like I gotta have some time to flesh it out. I mean, yeah, it's hindsight's 2020, I guess. Like I didn't like the movie, yet I watched it like twice because I wanted to see the clues. The Sixth Sense, no, I probably watched it like 7 or 8 times. I love the movie. It's funnier in my head canon if I imagine that the Sixth Sense is the sequel to Forrest Gump. I mean, since the kid is in both movies, it just I don't know, it makes me chuckle. You are correct. It is it's hard to do, but it's the good ones are like just, they're chilling. Like they do more in 2 sentences than I do in 10 pages sometimes. See, like if it's one of my favorite movies, I'll watch it a million. Like Gangs of New York, I'll watch Gangs of New York once a night, and it's a 3 hour movie. Like I love it. It's a great movie. Um, I'm embarrassed to admit it, but that Romeo and Juliet remake they made with what was it? Who was in that? Was it DiCaprio? DiCaprio was in. It's so campy, but I love it. Like I'll watch that anytime. There's like a handful of movies I'll literally watch them anytime. Like if they're on TV, I'm gonna watch them. Yes. The new one or the old one? I mean, they're both good. Like I'll watch either one of them. The Fog was probably some of Stephen King's peak work there. Yeah, it was with DiCaprio. Maybe I just like Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know. The original one's really good. I like the original one. Yeah, I liked the new one. It was okay, but I don't know. I'll watch anything Stephen King does. Basically, I liked Doctor Sleep too, and I hear a lot of people like really didn't get into it. They changed it up a lot from the book, but I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. Thought it was a good take on it. Mr. Nobody. I liked Mr. Nobody. I need to watch it again. I've only seen it the one time. Um, The Window in the Attic is another one I'll watch just to death if I get the chance. Excuse me. I don't think I've seen that one yet. I might have to add that one to my list. I heard it was pretty good. If you guys seen the commercials for what is it, zombie tsunami or whatever it is, I keep hitting them on TikTok, and it looks terrible. But it's like Sharknado. It's like a train wreck. You gotta watch it to see how bad it is. Well, guys, I'm gonna sign off here in a minute. I think let y'all get back to what you were doing. Any um any burning questions? Like anything you just gotta ask? I mean, yeah, I know it looks terrible, but I'm still gonna watch it. Like it just I don't know. I like goofy shit like that sometimes. I like to watch it and make fun of it. Yeah, that's true. Um, I like horror movies that do that. That kind of like deconstruct the concept of modern horror. Oh well, thank you. Well, I just got my hair cut, so you should have seen me a couple of weeks ago. I looked like a sheepdog, and just I don't know if any of you have dark hair, but it grows super fast. But the hat's part of the costume. I usually have a mask that goes with it, but I think oh yeah, there it is. Hang on. I was informed that I was not allowed to wear this at work. By the way, apparently it freaks people out. But yeah, no, that was my COVID. That was my favorite COVID mask. It pairs well with the hat. Absolutely. I'll have to do these more often, I guess. Oh, coffee. Coffee all the time. I'm a 37-year-old man with a 34-year caffeine addiction. Like, mom used to give it to me in a sippy cup. Coffee all day long. I like tea, but, coffee's in my veins. I often joke at people, it's like, I'm not gonna sell my body to science when I die, I'm gonna sell it to Starbucks and be their flavor of the month. I like tea. I like the idea of tea. I just it's coffee, man. It's always coffee. Alrighty, guys. Well, this was fun. Ah, well, see, my mom recently had to give up coffee, so like I know it's somewhere down the line. I'm not looking forward to it. At this point, I only drink it to keep the headaches away. Well, all right, guys. I might have to do this more often. I don't know. Um, so save your save your questions up. Oh no, I hope it's Coke with a capital C, Vincent. All right, guys. Well, I'll catch you later. Y'all have a good one. Dr. Plague signing off. Have a wonderful evening.